everybody. It's Allie. And welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, May 1st, 2022. Well, Rey died again this week. I counted as 2 deaths. First, he died in the car crash last week, and then this week, Chance tells us that he also had a heart attack before the car crash, so I count that as a double death. But if we got 2 of something, then why do I still feel so ripped off? We got a double dose of death, of Rey's death, but I feel ripped off by the whole thing. Y&R is just now making it so that the accident was his fault, but it wasn't his fault. His heart was just beating too fast. Okay, yeah, sure. I'll never believe it. I mean, I think we all know that Rey faked his own death. We never saw the body. Definitely Rey faked his own death. He saw that Nick and Sharon were just getting way too close, and so he staged this whole thing so that he could set everyone free and start over somewhere else. Also, on the side, he's biding his time, quietly plotting revenge on his father. No, wait, that's chemo. Sorry, I get confused. I got those 2 mixed up. Whoops. Oh, well, I have to say, I think Sharon made the right decision to have Rey buried in Miami. I said last week, I think it probably is what Rey would have wanted, but what it means for us is no on-screen funeral. No on-screen death, no on-screen funeral. And maybe it's for the best, I suppose. It's okay that we don't have to spend days on end weeping in front of a casket and listening to all of the typical podium speeches with everybody talking about what a great guy Rey was. It seems like Y&R just is having everyone pay their respects to Sharon instead, and Rey just disappears forever. Just sweeps away. He's just swept away. It kind of feels like Y&R is doing a lot of sweeping away lately. They just are pulling out of things and being done. And I think that works really well on a story that's not working, but I don't know that it works quite as well on a whole person, a whole character who has been on the show for 4 years. It just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I don't feel good about it. I don't feel good about Rey's death, and shouldn't I? When you get right down to it, shouldn't I feel good about all of this? Hey, I mean, if you gotta kill Rey, but why not at least play it out on screen for some drama? Give him the heart attack on screen. Give Jordy some material to work with as you send him on his way. I mean, Rey died in the same way that Rey lived. Barely. Look, Rey was a 5-star guy, no doubt about it. But was he a 5-star character? Last week, I asked you guys that question for our poll. Rate Rey Rosales from 5 stars being the best to 1 star being the not best. And I'm not surprised at all that the lead vote put Rey at a solid 3 stars. 33% of the Y&R chatters said 3 stars for Rey. That's exactly what I expected. Middle of the road. My vote puts Rey at about a 4. I think he's better than average, but I also think that a lot of my rating was boosted by the Rosales family. I think the family is what gave Rey the flavor, and when the rest of the Rosaleses left, Rey became a little bland. But it didn't have to be that way. I think underutilized is probably the right word to use here. And the other thing is, Y&R is building Nick and Sharon to get back together. They've been establishing that for months now. That's the reason that Rey and Chelsea started having a friendship. But I don't think Rey was ever going to cheat on Sharon with Chelsea, and I don't think Sharon was ever going to cheat on Rey with Nick. But now that Rey's out of the way, I don't know if Y&R is going to try to quickly move her into a love triangle. Nick has barely left Sharon's side since he delivered the news of Rey's death, and I'm not mad about that. I just think it's kind of transparent. And then we also saw Adam comforting Sharon this week. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I'm wondering, okay, well, then is Y&R headed back to a Nick, Sharon, Adam triangle? Where does the love fall in all of this? That's what I'm wondering. It's kind of interesting, though, that Victor seemed to think that it was okay for Nick to go ahead and comfort Sharon, but it wasn't okay for Adam to do that. Adam had to sneak around to give Sharon his condolences. Only certain Newman ex-husbands, I guess, should be allowed to comfort Sharon, and Sharon's had them all. She said all the Newman husbands. But only one got the right to comfort her. I just don't know about this. I just don't know about this. I'm kind of wondering if maybe Adam is going to find himself now drawn to Sharon, helping Sharon through this difficult time. I'm glad that Sally doesn't seem to feel insecure or intimidated by Adam's relationship with Sharon, although maybe she should be. Sally was actually encouraging Adam to reach out to Sharon, and that's probably part of the reason he was prompted to go by her house, to not listen to Victor's warning. He just went right to Sharon amid the flurry of funeral condolence baskets stuffed with coffee and fancy crackers. And I thought that their conversation was very refreshing. It was very raw and honest. Sharon was very real with Adam about the feelings that she's having, and Adam just patiently listened without throwing out any of the traditional well wishes and things that people say when they don't know what to say. Adam's the type of person who you don't have to put on airs around. If you want to be mad, be mad. And thinking about it, Adam and Sharon have always seemed to flourish during tragedy. They seem to do well together, to complement each other when times are tough, as opposed to Nick and Sharon, who seem only to flourish during the good times, but they can never really weather the storms of bad times. So it's interesting there. Are Adam and Sharon gonna get back together? Well, Sharon was on the cusp of getting back together with Adam when Rey came along, so it does beg the question, if Sharon wanted Adam, could she have him? I kind of think so. I kind of think so. I think Sharon could snap her fingers and have Adam back. But Adam told Sally on Friday that he's falling in love with her too. Ooh, that could create a real conflict for Adam, but I just feel like he would probably dump Sally and go back to Sharon in a heartbeat. But then again, I also remember thinking that about Chelsea. I thought, well, surely Adam would not choose his new friendship / romance with Chelsea over the deep, dark, gooey love that he had with Sharon, but then he did. Speaking of Chelsea, did Y&R really cut off that dramatic scene where Chelsea was offering Sharon her condolences, and Sharon was giving Chelsea a death stare. It was a cliffhanger of one of the episodes, and it just never got picked back up. I was waiting for Sharon to whip into Chelsea or to absolve Chelsea or something. It was a great cliffhanger, and then Sharon just popped up at home the next day. And the same thing happened with the Sally and Adam I love you. Sally poured her heart out to him. We saw it. There was a great cliffhanger of his shocked face, and then the next time we saw Adam and Sally, they were just casually talking about Rey's death. I don't get it. I mean, when the story picked back up this Friday, Sally was just describing Adam's reaction to her I love you. And I thought, hey man, why is a bunch of stuff happening off screen? If Adam was squirming over Sally's I love you, then I want to see him squirm. I don't know. We kind of pick back up on it when Adam is finally getting to show us his reaction. And he had a great reaction. He told her that he loves her too, or he's falling in love with her too. He reassures her. They bonded over the types of people that they used to be. No strangers to faking a medical illness. These two are practically two peas in a pod. But Chelsea was sitting in the background of that scene, and Chelsea is all of a sudden having a lot of reactions to them being a couple, which is funny because I seem to remember Chelsea telling Sally a couple of weeks ago that she was becoming comfortable with the fact that they're a couple now. And I'm pretty sure that Chelsea said the exact same thing to Rey. So now here we are all of a sudden this week, right back to square one. I am hoping that this is not really happening. I want someone to please tell me that we are going to do something more creative with Chelsea than to just put her back into the Adam and Sally triangle. I think we should send Chelsea over to Chance. I think we should let Chelsea and Chance bond together over Rey's death and let Chance become Connor's new buddy. I want to do anything but go back to the same crazy Chelsea being crazy over Adam. It's exhausting. With Chloe on the side warning Chelsea to not go back to Adam every time we've seen her for the last 5 years. Noah convinces Mariah and Tessa that it's okay to move forward with their wedding. I think both Mariah and Tessa are very sensitive to what Sharon is going through right now, and maybe they're both almost kind of afraid to be happy in front of her. But Noah told them both what I think they needed to hear. Sharon said, "Go forth and be happy." That means go forth and be happy. Sharon knows more than most that happiness is fleeting. So you gotta get it while you can. I like that is the message that Sharon is sending, that Noah is sending, that it's okay to still be happy. It's okay to still move forward. And if Sharon needs to hang on to this wedding as a lifeboat a little bit, I think that's okay, as long as Sharon can understand that the focus needs to remain on Mariah and Tessa. This needs to be about Mariah and Tessa, not about Sharon. So to me, Sharon seems to be doing an okay job of managing these difficult emotions. I think Sharon seems to be doing it in a perfectly healthy way, so I don't have any reason to doubt her right now. And I don't particularly like that the kids have been commenting to her about how they wish she would just let it all hang out. I wanted to scream, don't tell Sharon how to grieve. There's nothing wrong with finding a positive focal point, such as the wedding, and then moving forward. Like Sharon said last week, if I let go, I'm gonna break. And I may never come back. I can't let it all go. I may never come back. It's a lot of shock and a lot of emotion for her to deal with at once. So I think it's perfectly okay to go slow and to process it in stages without somebody behind you pushing you to go faster than you're comfortable. The wedding is pretty soon, though. I mean, May 13th. That's less than 2 weeks away. And this week, Mariah and Tessa asked Nick and Sharon to stand up for them at the wedding. I definitely had some tears during those scenes. The thought of Nick walking Mariah down the aisle the way that he couldn't do for Cassie, that definitely got me. And don't even get me started on how Sharon lost Rey and Cassie to a horrible car accident. I don't even want to think about all that. But I also really think it was sweet and surprising and wonderful that Tessa asked Sharon to be there to stand up for her, especially right now when Tessa knows and Mariah knows that Sharon needs something to hold on to. But I also do kind of wonder why Y&R couldn't just cast Tessa's sister for one day. For one day? Crystal is the only member of Tessa's family who we've ever met. She's the only member of Tessa's family who we know that Tessa has any kind of positive relationship with. So I think it would have been nice to have a more well-rounded sense of Tessa on their wedding day. I just feel like this wedding is going to be a little bit Newman heavy. I think maybe we do need to invite some of Tessa's roadies to round it out. Nikki is on fire. This is just another added benefit of casting Diane Jenkins. Nikki now has someone to rival with. We got so many great shocked looks from Nikki and so many great catty looks too. Well, if you faked your own death, then you should have had the decency to stay that way. Ooh, that was a good line. Yes, Nikki. More please. More please. And then Nikki walked right from that confrontation with Diane out into a confrontation with Ashland. So everyone just assumed that offering Ashland the $500 million to give up his marriage and his place at Newman Locke meant that he would just disappear out of town. Nobody expected him to stick around and fight for his marriage, but Ashland tells Nikki, sorry, short of murder, you're not gonna get rid of me. Oh! Sounds like an invitation to me. Let's just take a moment to count the number of characters who have alluded to killing Ashland Locke or who we've seen lashing out at Ashland Locke. So just this week, it's been Nikki. Sharon had a moment railing on about Ashland. Chelsea had a moment railing on about Ashland. Nick was the first one to mention that he could kill Ashland. Adam said it in a previous week too. Probably next week, Billy's gonna be saying it. So it almost seems like it's written in stone. May Sweeps is just around the corner, and we already had our big explosive car accident. So I'm asking myself, what ace does Y&R still have up its sleeve? Could it be something like a murder? Or could it be an attempted murder that will send Victoria running right back into Ashland's arms? Victoria looks like a beautiful she-devil walking around town in her black and red, carrying a cane. I think she should have picked a different outfit for going to visit Sharon. She should have saved her angel white, I'm not guilty look for that. Don't just come knocking at Sharon's door looking like she's ready to drag Rey to hell. Gave Sharon practically a panic attack. Yeah, I really liked those scenes. Victoria was feeling guilty over Rey's death, and she still hasn't been informed that he died twice. He was dead before she killed him. But at this point in the story, Victoria believed she was involved in the accident, and that she might have been, afraid she could have been responsible for Rey's death. But Sharon certainly reassured Victoria that she doesn't hold her accountable for Rey's death, but she also secretly admitted to Adam that she resented both Victoria and Ashland over it. I mean, we had that great moment where Sharon had to rush upstairs to try to save herself from having a panic attack at the very sight of Victoria. I think probably now that Sharon knows that Rey had a heart attack, it will be easier. I hate to use the word easy, but I mean, it's a different beast to try to resolve that, something like a heart attack, as opposed to an accident where you can have anger lingering around and being tempted to direct it at certain people. But I think Sharon may still very much have a big problem with a lot of this. I think she's still very much viscerally angry at Ashland Locke. She's asking herself, why did Rey have to die while someone like Ashland Locke, who faked cancer, why is he still alive? And that's essentially the same thing that Chelsea said on Friday. Everybody's wondering why Rey and not Ashland. And I think that makes Victoria feel responsible for bringing Ashland into their lives so intimately. And I wonder if that will inform her decision of whether or not to forgive him and ultimately get back together with him. I'm wondering, do you guys want Victoria to forgive him? Are you over here watching all of the turmoil between them and his pleas for forgiveness and him insisting that he loves her and that there's any possibility that they could overcome it? Do you want that to happen? Do you think that the current love that they do still share and that she admitted to him that she does still have, do you think that could, should, would outweigh the lies of the past? I think that will make an interesting poll question for the week. Do you want to see Victoria reunite with Ashland eventually? YRChat.com is where you can cast your vote. Where is Zippy the Fox? That's the real question. Where's Zippy the Fox? I could not believe that Kyle let Harrison walk out the door of the Abbott Mansion with Ashland Locke. I mean, my mind was screaming, no! Wait! That man is a liar, don't you know? Don't let him take the kid. He's got $500 million burning a hole in his pocket. He could have had Harrison shuffled out of the country by the end of the day. Flash 2. Harrison and his bouncy curls on a yacht sailing out to international waters. Tell me, Harrison, how do you get your hair so shiny and bouncy? Can you recommend a hair product for me? That kid, he is going to be a hairstylist. No doubt about it. He's got the hair. He needs to be a stylist. I think that would be awesome. Has Y&R ever had a hairstylist character? And is that the most brilliant idea ever? I think we need a beauty salon set. Wouldn't that be awesome? We need a beauty salon and a cool stylist like Mia. That'll never happen, but maybe you can bring on somebody new who could be a really cool stylist. And then everybody can just go to the beauty shop and gossip while getting their hair and makeup done. Oh my gosh, that is such a good idea, Y&R. You can have it free of charge. Absence must make the heart grow fonder. because I forgot what a gorgeous crier Kyle is. Oh, he just puts on those sad eyes with the pouty lips, and he just looks like a big puppy dog who needs a hug. Oh, Kyle. Oh, I really cannot even begin to imagine how difficult it would be to go through most of your childhood and all of your adulthood thinking that your mother was dead, brutally murdered in a public park with a very public murder trial. And then right when you hit this sweet spot in your life where everything's going good, finding out that she's alive and that she has, in fact, been letting you grieve all this time and didn't do anything about it, was actively deceiving you, and now she wants a Mother's Day card? Forget it. Forget it, Diane. Oh. But I actually really like Kyle's decision, and I totally understand it. He decided that he wants to hear her out, and Jack agreed to let Diane come to the house to meet with Kyle where he's comfortable, and so that she can be reunited with her baby boy. That is quite a cliffhanger that we were left with on Friday, with Diane showing up at the Abbott house glass door. Kyle should probably slam the door in her face, but that would be absolutely no fun. So I'm really looking forward to this confrontation. I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing Kyle peel apart the layers of this, the love, the hate, the anger. I mean, there's so much juiciness that we're gonna get out of it. I mean, I think we're gonna be getting some really emotional scenes next week. Unless Y&R just decides to let that whole thing happen off screen. Yeah, I mean, I can almost see it now. We're probably going to pick up next week with Kyle and Jack in the aftermath, with Kyle just telling Jack about how upset he was with his not dead mother. Elena is back on our screens this week. She is lovely. I think Elena is one of those characters like Rey, who's just nice and stable and does a good job of reacting to the drama around her, provides a baseline of sanity to the drama that's happening in and around her. Elena's not a real mover and shaker on any of the action, but I think it's really important to have characters like this. Not everybody can be a mover and shaker. You need characters like this to do the reacting, and I'm honestly pretty glad that Elena didn't decide to go driving in the fog that night. I mean, I feel like she dodged a bullet here if we're just getting rid of the characters who aren't as exciting and doing all of the crazy stunts and stuff. I think Elena also makes a really nice contrast to Imani. It's not that I don't like the crazy characters, I do, but you kind of got to have a little bit of both, and I am really glad to see Imani back too, finally. And I am looking forward to seeing Imani and Elena going at it, because they really could not be more opposite. I mean, Elena wears cotton socks. She was kicking it on the couch with Nate, wearing cotton socks and her hospital work uniform. And then over across the hall, Imani is wearing 6-inch heels and a business suit that she probably paid $1,000 for. I think it's going to be so fun to watch these two squabble over Nate. It's almost like tailor-made for me, though, because I've been kind of crabby with Y&R the last couple of weeks, and I realized this week that maybe it's because I've gotten zero Nate. I've been busy mourning Rey's death, and then as soon as Nate popped back up on my screen, I started feeling a whole lot better. Suddenly the world was looking a whole lot brighter. Nate seems to have a new haircut to go with his new COO title. I don't know if any of y'all had the opportunity to screen cap any Nate this week and then zoom in on it real close to see his nice, sexy new haircut. I don't know if any of you guys did that this week like me. But it's definitely a new haircut. And he's full of good ideas, such as, let's have a party. Yes, Nate, let's have a party. But no, says stuffy Devon. No parties. Parties are too flashy. So here's another personality contrast being set up. So we got kind of that contrast with Nate and Devon, and then we have the contrast of Imani and Elena. And where does Amanda fit into all of this? We did have a couple of well-placed reminders a few weeks ago that Amanda and Billy did have a relationship that was kind of stopped short by, his marriage to Victoria. But Billy's not married to Lily. And it seems that Billy has been feeling a little bit left out of the new business venture. I mean, Billy even looked misplaced in that scene. I don't know if you noticed this, but Lily, Amanda, Devon, Imani, and Nate were all wearing black and purple. And then Billy showed up wearing blue. He's wearing a blue suit. It's a total faux pas. Like, Billy, you did not get the memo. It's purple and black, and you came in blue. I'm sure that Billy is going to have to rush right out now and do an anonymous podcast about that. It's like the universe is trying to make us feel better. That was our quote from last week. A lot of people heard it. The answer was Nick. It was the episode after Rey's death, so I'm sure everybody was extra tuned into that. And Nick was just looking at that back window in Sharon's house, looking out on the ranch, and it was a sunny morning, and he was saying, "What a beautiful day. It's like the universe is trying to make us feel better." Good weather always does make me feel better, but I don't know if there's anything you can do about a dead Rey. But hey, quite a few people guessed it. It was Henry, Daisy, Keisha, Juanita, Michelle, Victoria, Sam, Tanya, Sherry, and Kamna. Good job, you guys. Let's see if you can get this one. I don't know why, but I just like this. Like a prisoner in a gilded cage. I like the idea of a gilded cage. Who said that? Like a prisoner in a gilded cage. If you think you know, you should go to yrchat.com to leave your guess. And if you get it right, I will give you your shout out during next week's Y&R Chat. Okay, let's take a look at some comments here. Sharad says, okay, so for me, I found it to be more realistic and heartfelt that Tessa asked Sharon to walk her down the aisle than Mariah asking Nick. Mariah is not Cassie. Also, Sharon has went from calling Tessa vermin to family. That is what you call progress, people, and actual soapy goodness. Oh, so you're not feeling the Nick walking Mariah down the aisle. Yeah, I mean, it was a weird connection. I thought it was weird that Mariah said it. I think maybe the audience was thinking it and could have made that connection. But it was kind of like, would you walk me down the aisle the way you didn't get to with Cassie? I mean, I got maybe it was a little too on the nose. But Sharad also says, just a thought to be different. Why didn't they just have Sharon walk both women down the aisle? Mariah on her left, next to her heart, and Tessa on her right side. That to me would have been so much better. Yeah, Sharad, because we had that moment too where Sharon said, I already think of you as family. And I think, Sharon was just trying to express that, I feel like I have two daughters in the both of you. And so, yes, it was very heartfelt and I liked it very much. Sue W. says, I think Nick seemed like a genuine choice given the Cassie connection for them both. Yes, pause there. Because, yes, I mean, Cassie's Mariah's sister who she didn't get to connect with ever physically. So maybe she has this sort of emotional connection via Nick and Sharon, and she wanted that to be a part of her special day. But Sue W. goes on to say, I also think it seemed true to both Mariah and Tessa's character if they could walk themselves independently down the aisle, separately or together. Hey, whatever they want, bride's choice. Well, that's a good idea, just walking yourself down the aisle. That does kind of seem like it would fit both of their personalities, but I also like the idea that they're trying to incorporate the family into their wacky 70s wedding. Have some tradition there amid the whatever in the world is going to be happening at this wedding. Well, let's talk about the poll from last week, which means we're talking about Rey and his rating. So, like I said, 33% of you gave Rey the middle of the road 3-star rating. But it's worth noting that the second choice, the second highest vote, gave Rey 5 stars. The best. That was 27%. Followed by the 4-star vote at 23%, and then we had 10% gave 1 star and 7% gave 2 stars. So I think that's very interesting. I mean, the majority of the votes went to average or better than average. Tony says the actor Jordy does a good job with the character. My vote of 3 stars is for the character. He could have been more, but he was not given the opportunity. The show doesn't have arrestable bad guys anymore, so Rey didn't have much to do. He would have been great as a detective, solving thefts, murders, or mysteries. Just being dreamy with Sharon wasn't much of a story. So a generous 3 for the character of Rey. Oh, that's a good point. That just being dreamy with Sharon was just not enough to do. But again, as you say, there really would have been lots of opportunities for him to be involved in other things. It seems like the cops and the detectives and the lawyers sometimes too, they do end up getting a little bit sidelined from the story when there's not a story that meets their particular wheelhouse. I mean, we'd need to be having a mystery or a crime that needed to be investigated for Rey to really be able to bring that story-wise. Southside Granny says Rey got a 4 from me. The writers could have done better for him. I can't see why Rey would be a haunting character to return from the dead, but you never know what ploy could be played. So fare thee well, Rey. Until next time. Yeah, you never know. You never know. Anything's possible. Marianne V also gave Rey 4 stars. He wasn't perfect, but he was good for Sharon and the kids. It's too bad he never had one of his own. Sorry to see you go, Rey, and so unceremoniously at that. That's a heck of a word right there. Unceremoniously. Nail head. Well, Mark says 1 star for Rey. Enough said. No follow-up. Just 1 star for Rey. Oh. Well, Ellen says maybe Rey's heart was medically compromised by Chelsea's poison. Lock her up. That could be. I know. It's like, well, Rey seemed like a perfectly healthy guy. And I know people can have heart attacks out of nowhere, but I don't know. The thing is, it's not about that. It's about, we know Y&R just wanted to get rid of him. So, I mean, why didn't they even, if they knew they were going to do it, why not even have some kind of little seed planted a week or 2 prior? Couldn't they have had him at a chest pain or something to make it a little easier to swallow, like he swallowed the poison that Chelsea gave him? Or I don't know, I guess it was in his Dapper Jan. It was in his hair care products. It was in his pomade. But yeah, we're getting that brought up a lot this week, that, you know, Chelsea, gee, you're been real upset about Rey. I think it was Victoria too that really questioned her, really put her foot on Chelsea's throat about it. Yeah, you're real upset about Rey. Well, you did almost kill him. Well, that was when she didn't want anything from him. Daisy says, I don't remember Adam ever asking Sally to be his girlfriend, to be exclusive. She seems to think they are, but maybe I missed something. But Adam loves Chelsea. He only left her because of his guilt and belief that he was bad for her. Sally will be in for a rude awakening, though, when he goes back to Chelsea. Adam will spend more time with her as they support their grieving son, and soon after Adam will realize that he was at his best when he was with Chelsea. And then Sally's eyes will finally open that Adam was using her so Chelsea would move on. But Adam will also see Sally in another light when she vows he will never see Chelsea again. Oh, that's interesting. So you think Adam and Chelsea might, wow. So you think that Adam does still love Chelsea and he's kind of pushing her away. Wow, that's really good. I wonder, it just seems so totally out of left field, and I also feel bad for even thinking about who, where the hookups are going to be in the aftermath of Rey's death. But I just wonder if there was going to be a triangle, if it would move Adam in the direction of Chelsea, or would it move Adam in the direction of Sharon? Ellen says, Shaddam! Of course they belong together. They are so relaxed and happy when they are alone, even when times are tough. It's all the chattering naysayers around them that make life difficult for them. They need to be a Y&R super couple eventually. I'm just not sure how the writers should make it happen. It shouldn't be an impulsive decision by a grieving Sharon. Now just doesn't seem like the right time. Yeah, I think whatever they're going to do with Sharon and her romance is going to have to be a slow build post Rey's death. It seems like Adam and Sally really seemed solid to me, but as Daisy points up, I mean, Chelsea could certainly be in there to shake them up, or it could be Sharon, who knows. Well, Gary says, I think that Sharon Case is 100% right. While people are lamenting the no death scene or no goodbye for Rey Rosales, the actress is saying that there are many different ways to tell a story. It does not have to match the traditional formula, and Sharon finds the way Rey was handled to be effective. Sharon Case, that is, finds the way Rey was handled to be effective. I had the same thought about the starkness of it. It's far more eerie and sad for Rey to just perish from the audience's perspective than to go the formulaic, pull out all the stops bedside tearjerker that it has always been. Maybe this is one of the reasons Rey's death is especially sad to me. As Sharon has had Rey cruelly taken away without warning, the audience is feeling the same, with no visual aftermath of his death. Death comes unexpectedly. The Reverend Fordwick bellows out as to his no glad game congregation in Walt Disney's Pollyanna. I have not forgotten that. Woe is me. It is very sad. That's a pretty darn good point, Gary. The audience is feeling it from Sharon's perspective. I never thought about that. That really the audience is just feeling Sharon's perspective. It was kiss, kiss, see you later, and then all of a sudden, what? He's gone? What? He had a heart attack? I guess I never thought of it that way. Huh. But I still wanted more. I guess I felt like, there's something about Rey that was just so charming, and I wanted him to have a bang. I know not everybody gets a bang, but I wanted him to have a bang. I think that they could have given him a bang without going the traditional formulaic route. They could have done something else, anything. I'm grieving. We're grieving here. Laura says, I like that Sharon's grieving clothes are tan basic rather than frumpy black. We'll know when she's done grieving when she goes back in Forever 21. Yes, I noticed that. I also noticed that Sharon's grieving attire is tan basic. Neutral tones. We don't have to go black. We can go neutral tones. I like that a lot. Victoria says, what a sweet and natural moment with Victoria and Victor. How loving to see them curled up on the sofa. Victor was so warm and reassuring. Victoria was so vulnerable. I'm sure as Victoria laid her head on her dad's shoulder, she relaxed for the first time. Yeah, Victoria's been through it. She found out everything about Ashland. It totally upheaved her personal life, totally upheaved her business life, and you're probably right. And on top of it, she was physically wounded and hurt, and you're probably right that the first time she had relaxed since any of it happened probably was in that moment, and it was really, really nice seeing those two. Great comment. Gary also honed in on this little moment where Adam says, "There is nobody in this world who holds a grudge longer than my sister." That is what Adam informed to Ashland Locke. It's so true. There's nobody who could hold a grudge longer than my sister, and wouldn't Adam know it? Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that moment. That was very interesting. It's just, I think, the difference is, I mean, yes, Victoria can hold the grudge on Ashland, but she also loves him and she wants something from him. I mean, at the end of the day, loving, you sort of want something from that person. You want their attention or their affection, or you want whatever it is exactly that they provide to you, be it emotionally or physically or in any other way. It's just, love is sort of that partnership, but you're getting something from it. When it comes to her grudge with Adam, for instance, she just doesn't want anything from him. I mean, she's going to be easy. It's going to be easy for her to forgive Ashland because she wants something from him, versus Adam, where she doesn't. Well, Laura says, Ashland keeps working Victoria. Where can the relationship go from here? It's just not interesting anymore, and him pressing her doesn't sit right. An Ashland redemption story is not what I'm looking for in this storyline. A strong Victoria who assails him with rejection for not respecting her. No means no is a more satisfying ending. Victoria is Victor's daughter. Let's see that. Let's see this storyline solidifying her power position in business and romance. Oh, Laura, that is so good. I think you're right. I think that's how my vote is going to go too. I don't really want to see Victoria forgiving Ashland, to be honest with you. He lied. I mean, he said, well, we both lied at the beginning. Well, I don't know. What did she took advantage of his position when she thought he was dying, and she proposed the merger. That's nowhere on the level of him faking his cancer and all that. I mean, and I don't know. I just couldn't see myself moving forward with someone who was capable of such a big lie. I would never trust them again. And I think you're right. I think out of all of this, Victoria has seemed less than perceptive, and less than strong. And I think after all of her horrible issues with men, I mean, she's had men who betray her constantly. JT hurt her physically, Billy hurt her emotionally over and over, Ashland lied horribly. I mean, she's had a really bad track record with men, and we had that moment where that was flashback this week where she was saying, I can't remember, to Nikki or something, just that why does this keep happening? I mean, why does this keep happening with men? And I think, Laura, you make a really good point that the real arc here should be strong Victoria in the end. That's what would be more interesting. And I mean, while we're talking, formulaic, I think that this would be something that would go a little bit against the formula. If we actually see Victoria saying no and rejecting him, I mean, the formula would be for her to go running back to him and love conquers all, and everything can be forgiven in soap opera world. But if Victoria comes out of this stronger and more confident than ever, and really showing us that she's Victor Newman's daughter, as you say, and really rising from the ashes and building herself back up from the ground up, there's the story. Well, T. Nicole says, so basically, Ashland is going to get murdered, right? And then after a whodunit storyline, we'll come to realize that it was Jesse Gaines all along. Oh, I can't even hear the name Jesse Gaines ever again. I put all of my eggs in the Jesse Gaines is framing Ashland for the cancer, for faking his cancer basket, and I just refuse to do it again. I don't even want to hear the name Jesse Gaines in a twist. But yeah, that's how is this writing team going to handle a murder or an attempted murder if they just don't do twists? But I think you're absolutely right. We've got to be headed for some type of whodunit. The writing is everywhere. It's everywhere. Oh, Laura says, who will Diane's confidant be? Bad guys usually have one friend to discuss their schemes with. A partner in crime saves them from talking to themselves. Yes, and Naomi says, I'm loving Ashland's scenes. It will be interesting to see how Kyle reacts to the fake cancer news. Ashland needs an empire to run. Nobody seems to be at the helm over at Jabot, so Ashland should see if Tara's out of jail. Or maybe Diane could be of help to him. I'm looking forward to all those stories to come. couple interesting things here. Both Laura and Naomi are honing in on the fact that Diane's going to need a cohort, and maybe Ashland's going to need a cohort. But I think that Ashland associating himself with Diane would only hurt him, and probably vice versa too. But as Laura makes the point, usually the bad guys do have someone to talk to. I mean, you can't have the bad guys have no friends. I mean, Ashland and Diane can't go around having no friends forever. They need somebody to talk to. But I also like your point here, Naomi, that Kyle doesn't know the news about Ashland faking his cancer yet. I mean, Kyle's also got that coming. He's got to have a conversation with Ashland where it's like, what? You let my son believe that you actually were sick and had cancer, and you lied to all of us about that? Yeah, he would never have let Harrison go with him if he had known any of that. I hadn't thought of it, but I guess Kyle didn't get that news, which means, does Jack not know that news? Oh, that's a good question. Well, T. Nicole says, I loved having a Tracy and Kyle scene. It was so nice having Kyle lean on his Aunt Tracy and having her to talk to. She's lovely. She's just lovely. She's a sigh of relief on the show every time I see her. You know, she's got the wisdom, she's got the heart, she's just got it all. It's so glad that we're having Tracy as a pillar of the show right now. It really works for me. She's the heart of the Abbott family, and she's the heart of so much of the show. For me, I would like to see Tracy interacting with more and more people. I mean, wasn't Tracy working for Chancecom and for Lily? Lily had given her a job doing some writing, so maybe we can also have Tracy inserted into the new Hamilton Chancellor. Is that what it is? Hamilton Chancellor? No, Chancellor Winter's business. Maybe we can move Tracy over there and get her some more exposure too. But yeah, she's a wonderful matriarch of the family now. Diana says, Tracy and Kyle were talking about how they can't understand how a mother could leave their child and how terrible she must be. It got me thinking about Dina. Tracy's mother did the same thing. The only difference is she didn't fake her death, but she abandoned her family to live her own life. I don't know who's worse, as Diane had a motive. Yeah, that's a good point. That is a really good point. And Jack alluded to that a little bit with Kyle, saying, I know what it's like to have, a mother who wasn't around or who left. And you're right. It's a really good parallel. Well, boy, let's end on a final comment here from Keisha, who says, okay, it's no longer cute. Imani is wrong for openly flirting with Nate. She knows the man is in a committed relationship. She won't listen to Amanda, Devon, or Elena. Nate needs to tell her to knock it off. Oh, Keisha, you are so right. You're so right. I feel bad now. I think I'm just blinded by my Nate lust. And I can just identify with Imani because I can just completely understand why anyone would do anything to get him. Oh, I can't believe that it's May already. Can you believe that? I have a birthday that I want to mention. It was yesterday, though, April 30th. Kathy, happy birthday. You say it's tax day in Canada on April 30th. So April 30th, tax day, and your birthday. What a fun mix. I'm sorry, I missed that last week, so I thought I would make sure you got your birthday wishes this week. Just one day late. Belated! It's May. It's going to be May sweeps. I imagine that means we're going to have some big drama coming up. I mean, we already have had a lot of big drama the last couple of weeks, so I'm not exactly sure what Y&R is going to have in store, but I'm here for it. I'm in for it. I'm ready to move past my grieving for Rey. I always just feel kind of annoyed when Y&R makes me cry. I always sort of secretly resent the really sad storylines just because it's like, I don't want to spend my spare time crying. I love a good emotional pull, but at the same time, when the show gets too heavy and it really hits me in a sore spot, I always kind of secretly resent it and don't like it and disconnect from it a little bit. And so I do think that I was in such a good place with how much I was loving everything that Y&R was doing maybe a month ago, and then since I heard the news that they were killing Rey, I felt myself kind of going and then the chemo thing got me all ticked off. But the Rey thing, it's like to be kind of upset that we were losing the character, and then to feel that it was anticlimactic the way that we lost the character. I think that was just a double whammy of yuck for me. And so I don't know, I feel and then it's like, you know, I don't know. I don't know if it would have been better to see him die on screen, or maybe it's better this way, as Gary said and as Sharon Case said herself. I'm not sure. But I'm kind of looking forward to just moving past it and getting something a little more fun. And maybe we'll be getting some of that in the upcoming weeks. Maybe May Sweeps will be full of just some juicy, fun drama, not some heavy tearjerker drama. Oh, I'm a delicate Mayflower. What can I say? Okay, go to yrchat.com if you would like to leave your comments about the show. And you should definitely come back next week to see where we are and talk about it. I love you guys so much, and I hope you have a really good week. Bye.